came across the great idea that we'd go for a classic opening. I'd go to the Bible, and top of Mount Sinai, Moses coming down the hill with the tablets engraved. And the thought crossed my mind that the two that are relevant for tonight, of course, is thou shalt not steal, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbour's wife or thy neighbour's goods. But both of them, according to Exodus and Deuteronomy, are way down the tablet. And you'd wonder if Moses knew then the type of credit society we'd have today, he'd probably need a quarry for the extra tablets to be engraved. I mean, I'll give you a few statistics in terms of the financial world we live in. The first charge card, what do you call it? American Express, was launched in 1958 or 57. So that was the first real step into a credit society. A year later, we had the first credit card proper was launched, and that went on to become Visa. It was, I think, the Bank America card at the time, and that revolutionized basically the world we live in, that people didn't have to have large quantities of cash, they didn't have to have checks, the difficulties of trying to get checks cashed. And from that very humble beginning, the statistics from the American Credit Card Association, last year 620 million credit cards were in use in the United States. And if you break down credit cards in terms of credit card debt, it's roughly $14,700 per US household. So that'll put in context the amount of money that we're dealing with. Most people, when they have a credit card, will presume that if they're the victim of fraud or identity theft, that they're covered. How many think they are? Right. To a certain degree, you are. Where you have to be very careful, and the reason I know is we covered a court case where a person actually ended up being caught responsible for some of the money, is when you become aware of the transaction. If you delay, if you do not ring immediately to alert your credit card provider that you're aware of a transaction you're suspicious about, you then become liable for the transactions that follow, which in some cases can be quite serious. There was a case up before the Dublin Circuit Criminal Court about 7-8 years ago where a guy had travelled in Southeast Asia and had bought a camera with a credit card, and the card was cloned. And what they did was they waited for about 4 or 5 months, and then suddenly, wham, in the space of 3 days, his credit card was spent to its limit. And the problem in his case was he spotted the first transaction, thought it was a delayed posting for a transaction he had made himself, and never rang his credit card company. So it ended up in a court case over precisely when he found out, was he responsible, was he not responsible. I've gotten to the stage where, I suppose, seeing so many different things and seeing so many different scams that I'm pathological about never putting anything into the bin that has my name on it or my address. Another famous one is that you might get, as part of these marketing surveys, you might get a proposal from a credit card company to buy a credit card, and you say, no, I have one already, I'm okay. You scrunch it up and you throw it in the bin. It's been known for individuals to go through rubbish, and what they need is two things. They need the credit card that you were proposed or you were offered, and they need your address. And what they then do is they contact the credit card company and say, you're very interested in getting a credit card, you don't want to get it quite at the moment because you're moving house, but would they take note of your new address? And they give an address in Cork, Cork, Dublin, Limerick, normally a drop address where they just collect mail. They wait 3 or 4 weeks, they then put through an application to try and get a credit card in your name. So when the credit checks go through, if they can get access to your bank statements via the post box, they can then supply those to the credit card company as well. And lo and behold, a credit card issued in your name with all your financial details is suddenly in the hands of individuals that are out going to... And whenever guys get a credit card like that fraudulently, what they do is they always go for maximum value items that are easily convertible to cash. They will never go for large cash withdrawals because it's like a warning sign for a bank or for a financial institution. If a recently issued credit card, if they go for a major cash withdrawal, they'll always check it out because they get suspicious about it. So what they'll do is they'll go and they'll buy cameras, they'll buy goods, iPods, computers, things that can be readily sold in the black market for cash. And if you're not very careful, you then end up liable for what has happened afterwards, because you have to prove that you didn't know about any of this, which at times can be quite difficult. The level of sophistication involved in credit card fraud as well is quite astonishing. There was a case about maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, where some Gardaí became suspicious of some Middle Eastern individuals who had rented a house in Bishopstown. And a guard nonchalantly walked by and spotted a lot of computer gear on tables and what he thought were lots of credit cards. The guards raided the house and they found what was, has anybody heard of the famous Tiger Gang? Birmingham? No? Very famous. They're one of the most notorious credit card skimming gangs in the world. And they're based in Birmingham and they operate within the Asian community in England. But most of what they do is not in England, it's actually done in other countries. And what they'll do is they'll fly in, they'll bring all the gear with them, the cloning devices, the pin and chip. In certain cases, pin and chip can be subverted, but it's difficult to do. There was quite a row about 4 years ago where some groups claimed that chip and pin was compromised, and that it wasn't the safest system to actually put on credit cards, it wasn't foolproof. And the credit card companies fought back by saying, well, they never said it was foolproof, but it is so difficult to get around that it is foolproof to all intents and purposes. So, but these guys, like, I mean, they had the technology, they could produce credit cards, they could do false IDs as part of proof to support credit card purchases. And this was in Cork. So, I mean, when we were covering this, oh my God, this really is quite serious in terms of the fact that fraud, credit card abuses are now cross-border.
If you change your PIN number reasonably frequently, like every year, would it be a safeguard?
Oh, I think it would, yeah. I mean, if you have the chip and pin system,
yeah,
you're pretty safe. Really, the rules of thumb are what the guards will tell you or what you'll get on the credit card securities website. Be very careful with your PIN number. Don't write it down, don't give it to anyone. If you want to change it regularly, all the better. When you're using an ATM, be very careful.
I don't use them, I'd be afraid of it.
Yeah. Well, I'd begin like...
Sure to leave that for me.
It's a shame because it kind of comes back to what our friend was saying here, that, you know, at the one time, like, I don't want anyone here to go away thinking tonight, Jesus, get rid of the bank account, burn the credit cards, operate from under the wardrobe. And, you know, the sad thing is that actually is what has happened to older people, is that older people have gone back. They were so afraid of banks collapsing. And that's why there was so many of these violent, aggravated burglaries, that people knew old people had their life savings under the mattress because they were terrified where the banks go. I mean, I had a person ring me and ask me, would it be wise for them to transfer their money to a bank in Switzerland? Now, the same individual, I mean, isn't a high roller, like, do you know what I mean? But was so petrified that the banks were going to implode, everything was going to melt down, you know? And I said, look, not at all. I mean, if they go, if the euro goes, that's the least of our problems. You know, the rest of the world are going to be equally as in meltdown, so there's no point panicking over it. But certain safe precautions. If you're using ATMs, be careful. There have been cases of, you know, skimming devices.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been found shopping centres, they've been found in the city centre. The most the busiest ATMs are the most popular.
How safe are you, say, when you're paying your insurance or whatever, you know, the way you have to give the 3 numbers on the back of the card?
Generally, you're pretty safe. I mean, if it's that type of transaction, the onus is on the other party to keep your details secure. Okay. So if they don't, they're liable, not you. Credit card fraud is increasing in Ireland. Now, specifically to talk about credit cards, it's still increasing in Ireland, but it is increasing at a much slower rate than it was before the chip and pin system of using cards was widely implemented. By 2006, credit card fraud in Ireland accounted for €12 million in losses. In 2007, that had risen to €14 million. The latest increase is due to the prevalence of card not present fraud, whereby card numbers are used over the phone, on the internet, rather than the physical card actually being swiped. Credit card fraud in Ireland is 0.06%. So it is a relatively small percentage of a big market. But the key is...
I thought we were for growth there.
Well, there is unfortunately...
Don't get any ideas.
And the thing is to make sure that none of us are part of the 0.6%. So look, just to thank you all for being here. I hope you found it entertaining and worthwhile. And remember, if it sounds too good to be true, generally it is.